Hi, and welcome to Bloody Good Reads. As you know, we are Bloody Good Reads, the podcast that forces authors to pick 3 books they love because I am a bastard. We're up to episode 100. So, 100 episodes of the podcast. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and watching the podcast for so long. So, thank you for listening. But this week's guest is a horror author, our first one of the year. He is a Godless Award-winning author. He does like some of the darker side of things, which we do love here in the podcast. So, welcome to the podcast this week, Marcus Hawke. I don't know if your camera's just frozen or you just
No, it's not frozen.
frozen for effect.
Just wanted to start off with a laugh, Thanks very much for having me.
No worries.
When you said Godless Award-winning author, I almost went, oh.
It's still an award-winning author. Yeah.
I know. I mean, it's the first and only award I've ever won. So,
hey, many more to come.
Yeah.
So what we like to do here on Bloody Good Reads is, force authors to pick 3 books they love because I'm a bastard. But before we get on to your 3 books and talk about your career, from start to finish, really,
Sure, yeah.
what we like to do is I ask every guest, how did you get into the horror genre?
Well, I'm sure it's an often cited gateway delivery system, whatever you want to call it, but I think probably a lot of people started from as kids with Goosebumps, and I'm no different. That was, I think probably the first horror themed thing. Even it's funny if you look at if you read any of those, like even today, they're quite dark. A lot of them. It's surprising. Like even like it's some of them are very silly, but others it's sort of like, whoa, this is for what's the age range on this again? 8 to 12. Yeah, all right. But yeah, that was definitely the earliest, I think, as far as reading, at least anyway. And then there were, of course, shows like Are You Afraid of the Dark and things like that. And I think it just in movies like Monster Squad and things like that. And it always kind of twigged something in me from a young age. And then later on, I guess in my teen high school years, I started reading Stephen King. Just one day had like someone gave me a copy of Pet Sematary, and I started reading it and was traumatized and been hooked ever since.
So, how that's for all of us.
Yeah, pretty much, right? Like, I mean, I actually reread Pet Sematary just not long ago, and it was just I remember going through the actual stages of grief reading that, just because, well, I mean, for anyone who doesn't know what happened, I won't ruin it, but if you do, you don't need to, if you know, sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay. So where did the love of writing come about? Was it something from a young age, or something kind of built up into old?
Yeah, I think that also came probably around a similar time. Like it was probably from other things, not just specifically horror either. Even though it's not strictly just like a fiction or like a strictly written thing, but Calvin and Hobbes. I loved Calvin and Hobbes, and that just got me interested in stories and storytelling, and even just like from a writing, but also in a visual medium too. Like I love film, and I wanted to be a filmmaker at one point. Still do, but will it happen? Who knows, right? But yeah, as far as writing goes, I really it was something that I think started also around in high school, but it really took on sort of another larval stage, if you will, when I discovered Anne Rice.
Mm-hmm.
That was I like if I was interested in writing before, that was kind of when it solidified. I was like, okay, so that's what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. that's me, from this point on, just because, yeah, I don't know, something about her writing just really speaks to me. It's very descriptive, it's very detailed, it's very pensive and introspective, and I just wanted to do that. I just wanted to what it did for me, I wanted to put out as well. So that was probably, early 20s or so. And yeah,
So is that where kind of like a love of vampires came about? Because your debut novel, Miracle Sim, is vampires. And you've
it
also got
it
your connection
involves
to
vampires. Yeah, I don't nitpick, but I do some. Yeah, when people describe it as a vampire novel,
that.
I don't really go out of my way to correct them, but it's still not quite entirely, like, it's not all that. They're involved. Yes, it's just it's but yeah, that's definitely. I mean, I don't know if I could even say that that's only where it started, but it's definitely a big part of it for sure. Um, yeah, I'm a big Dracula fan too, so any Dracula, Blade,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Oh,
John.
do love Blade.
Oh, is anybody else like absolutely just waiting for Mahershala Ali
Taking too
as
long.
Blade movie to come? Like,
Too long.
oh man, like get that get that get that to me last year. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Mm.
So yeah, it all kind of meshes together and sort of became something that was, I think, probably um, you know it, wanting to explore and do sort of an homage to a lot of those things,
Yeah.
and that is what forms a large part of the Miracle Sin for sure.
So before we get into some of the other work, again, what I like to do here in the podcast is force authors to pick 3 books they love. So what is your first book that you picked?
The first book I picked, since I've already mentioned Stephen King, would have to be Misery. That's a book that had, like, it's not very often that I have actual, like, you can read a book and it can, you know, it can interest you, it can keep you reading and stuff like that. But when I read that one, I was gripping the seat with with anticipation and anxiety, like just the anxiety where, again, if anyone doesn't hasn't read it yet, but there's a part where the main character, Paul Sheldon, is exploring the house and is very and he's confined to a wheelchair, so it's not like he's able to get around quite deftly or anything like that, and has to avoid his captors attentions and tempers and things like this. And it's just very, like, it's a real it's a nail biter is the only way I would describe it. So and it's just really well written. It's got a story within a story too, where he's writing the next installment that he's been forced to write
Yeah.
by his fan. And there was, like, just a detail. I don't even know why I like this so much, but just the detail of the missing key. So it's got to be written in every time and things like that. I just loved it. It's probably, I'm very hesitant to name a single favorite book, but if I had to, it would probably be
Yeah.
it's a contender for sure.
I'm guessing you've seen the film as well.
Oh yeah.
So yeah. What are your thoughts between the two?
I think I thought it was actually quite good. I thought, like, of the adaptations, it's probably definitely one of the better quality, better adapted. Like, it follows the book quite closely. There's a few scenes where it's like, okay, that didn't happen, but it's. I think you have to do that when it comes to an adaptation of something.
Yeah.
Like, otherwise, if it's just page for page the same, then it might not really be as interesting, right?
Mm.
But no, I thought. I mean, the two people they picked for it were great, and just how it's just one of those instances where I think I still, as good as it is, I still liked the book the best.
Mm.
But a very very uncommonly, some you don't hear this too often, but it's true. There are some examples where I definitely like the film better. Not of Stephen King, but just like Jaws, for example. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, a couple of people said that about Jaws. We haven't
Yeah.
thought the film is much. Yeah.
There's vast differences between it. When I read the book, I was sort of like, okay, like, you're fine over there. I'll just leave you. I'll just leave you there.
You're in your own space. Just enjoy
Yeah,
it.
no hate. Just stay there. That's fine.
Awesome. No, good pick. Good pick. I think that only been picked once before in 100 episodes, so that's quite good. So, but it's a good book. It's a good book. Had to be a Stephen King on 100 episodes. Couldn't go 100 episodes about.
What did everybody else say? It.
No, we've had Needful Things. We've had The Stand, quite a popular one.
I still haven't read that one. That's one of the few older like vintage Kings that I still haven't read yet.
It's only been picked once, which is surprising. But
Interesting.
yeah, Shining a couple of times. Yeah.
Oh yeah. You know which one doesn't get mentioned anywhere nearly enough, and I will sing its praises all day long? Needful Things.
Yeah. No,
That one is
we've had that
that's
once.
it's got a small town turning on itself, which is like behind the every if anyone's ever lived in a small town, it feels like it's just in the air all the time. So like it yeah, if that describes you, check it out.
That's our first pick, Misery.
Yeah,
Obviously, it's Stephen King's a classic, so you know you can buy Stephen King by now. Any bookshop, anyway. So go check it out.
anywhere you could find one, you could walk out the street and find one probably.
Oh, probably.
Yeah.
The
Just sitting
charity
on a
shop near you.
oh yes, yeah, oh yeah, easily.
Cool. So let's talk a little bit about your first book. So
Sure.
your first novel, again, Miracle Sin. So where did the idea for this one come about? Was you writing a lot of short stuff before you got round to this novel, or was it kind of a straight in?
Yeah, I actually I wrote quite a few short stories and spent many years trying to get them published. This was in the days before social media existed, but I wasn't utilizing it to sort of you know uh, see what was out there or get my name out there or anything like that. So I spent 8 years just trying to get a story published, and then finally lucked out one day. Somebody took pity on me, I guess, and yeah, the rest was was history. Um, so yeah, leading up to that, I definitely did and worked on that sort of all through that time. It took probably I I forget exactly, figures vary somewhere between like say 9 years to 11 years, and not steady or anything like that, but at least yeah, like approximately 10 years off and on writing that first book. And I don't know, I just got to a point where I think once it was done, I started just looking into how people go about that, how you get something published. And I started by looking at agents and um, things like that. And technically I'm still waiting for some replies from them to if they're interested in it. But eventually I just decided that this is done, this is ready, like I'm ready to have this exist. So I just did it myself. And
Which is quite a
yeah.
popular way of doing it nowadays. I mean, you've got a lot more self-published.
Yeah, well, and it's good, it's great actually, because I I think for a long time, and even still today, there's sort of a stigma around self-publishing, like people who are self-published and just self-publishing in general. Like it's I mean, even 20 years ago, I'm sure it was there's the perception that it was just people who have a stack, like a skew of books in their sitting in their garage somewhere and looking to offload them somewhere. Sorry, we got a feline drive through here.
There you go. The first cat in a video. There you go.
Yeah, won't be the last, I'm sure.
Gonna happen again.
Anyway, yeah, and it's just like I was so pleased and surprised and encouraged by seeing just how much of a thing it is and how great, like those books are. Like it just like from self-publishing to indie publishing and everything, like there's just great stuff there. And I was so yeah fortunate for myself and just in general to discover it and just know that it exists.
And indie horror is huge at the moment. And going into your next book, which is obviously through Godless, which is acts of violence, which is
Yeah, it's available on Godless and Amazon, just not Kindle Unlimited.
So I mean, it must be good to get with Godless, because they got very, very popular over the last few years since they came out.
And that's a great thing too, right? Because I mean, that's basically the whole point is like getting other other platforms other than just Amazon or whatever other online markets there are, visible, and knowing that they exist and that they're alternatives. Because I mean, as much as we all need to rely on Amazon, of course, it'd be nice if it wasn't that wasn't the market, the whole bloody market. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, that was really cool to discover that they exist as well.
Gives a lot of splatterpunk a lot more of
Yeah.
a
Oh yeah.
visual.
I mean, just look at some of the titles of that. It's
Oh
that it's a Sophie's choice of
yeah.
bloody, splattery, transgressive.
We've
Yeah,
had many of the authors on here.
I'd love, I'd love to, yeah, just spend like a day and just go through pick. I mean, I think they have sales and stuff too. I've just never really taken full advantage of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd like to. Like, there's one called Elephant Dick. I'd love to just see what that's about. I'm sure I know what it's about, but I'd love to just kind of see, like,
What is it
yeah,
about? Yeah,
what's
yeah.
what's the motivation of the elephant dick? You know what I mean? Like,
How much elephant dick is that?
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We
Is it,
know.
is it like Jaws, where you don't see it until about halfway through, but it's implied? It's
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah.
let's go
Acts of
into
violence. Oh, sorry. Go
the
ahead.
next one. So that's Acts of Violence, which is 12 Tales of Terror, your award-winning book with Codless,
Oh,
best anthology or collection.
I was very thankful for that. That was, again, if anyone's listening, who voted for it, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
So where did the idea for the anthology come on?
Well, I wanted to. I mean, my first book, it is quite large. It's over 400 pages, so I mean, it's not something that everybody is going to take a look at and say, absolutely, I'm on board. I'm on board, because it's a little bit of a large bite for anyone just looking to um, start, like, a starting point for my writing. So I wanted to put something else out that was shorter and easier to you know do in
Digest. Yeah.
yeah, in bits and pieces, right? So it's got 12 short stories. Some of them had been previously published, the majority of them hadn't at that point too. That was the other thing, right? Because I had these stories kind of just sitting around, like a few of them just sitting around. um some of them had been sent to submissions and not accepted, or um whatever it was, right? And then a few I wrote specifically for the collection, just to sort of fill out the table of contents. And yeah, once I had 12 of them, I it was originally going to be 13, but then I think that'll actually segue into the next book. So yeah, yeah, once I had that complete, I put it out. And I don't remember where the idea for the title came from. I think it just kind of, like anything worth doing, it just sort of came to me one day.
Before we get on to your latest book, let's go to your second bloody good read. So what is your
Ah,
second bloody good read choice?
for that, I would have to go with The Vampire Lestat, because that book, that's one of those books that I could read over and over again. I never get tired of it. It's
Hmm.
just it's descriptive, it's emotional, it's visceral. That's the thing too. I think sometimes people, I think for some reason, I think when those Twilight books
Hmm.
became popular. I think for some reason it kind of got lumped in with a lot. That was a while ago now. I don't. Maybe it might not be the case, but I just remember that. I think there were some um, musings about whether or not they were similar things. Not at all. Like, there's rotting corpses in that book. Like, it's you know what I mean. And Satan, and just like, yeah, all that good stuff, right? Um, so
But for some reason, it gets kind of tied in with the.
yeah, I think, well, just because I think there are elements of romance in it, but it's not really saccharine, teenage drama type stuff. It's
Hmm.
um adult drama type stuff, but but yeah, it's very much like, it's very much a just gothic horror historical novel. And
Yeah.
it's just one of my favorite books. ever.
It's obviously it's more gothic. It's not really that teeny romancy side of it.
No, but then Gothic does have quite, I mean,
Mm.
an element of Gothic fiction is melodrama, right? A lot
Mm.
of the time. So I mean, there is some of that, but it doesn't. Yeah, it's not to the degree of any of the other, more popular or visible in recent years type of books.
Which yeah, has changed the vampire genre, sadly.
It has, and it's, I mean, no hate to anybody who enjoys those books or anything like that, but it's just funny because I find sometimes, like even today, you mention the word vampire and I think people's minds just kind of round off to that,
Mhm.
and that's not what I do at all. Like that's not what
Which
I
is a
do. I don't
shame.
think that's what a lot. It's a shame.
Yeah,
Oh,
well,
I thought you
that
meant
book,
that I
yeah, no,
don't do that. I was like, trust
no,
me,
no, no,
nobody
like
wants to read. No one wants to read my teen vamp YA.
more like because it's a
Yeah,
shame that vampires are seen in that way because obviously you have
yeah.
you know sadly Brian Lumley's just passed away, but he wrote some of the most amazing vampire fiction. Um,
I've seen the name. I've never read anything of his, but that's too bad.
yeah, I mean the Necroscope series, vamp-
Yes,
amazing vampire series.
I
Um,
will. I might just check it out then.
even movies like Byzantium. That's a vampire
Byzantium.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a vampire one, and
I I have that saved to my list to watch,
it's a good film.
and
It's a good film.
yeah, I keep passing it up for some reason. I don't know why.
But no, it's a shame vampires are kind of pushed down that way. It needs a resurgence.
Yeah,
It needs another 30 Days of Night.
30 Days of Night is, yeah, that's one of easily one of my favorite vampire movies.
Mm.
Like that's just so. When I saw that, I was like, okay, that's more like it. Like that's they're like sharks on two legs. Those things.
It's a shame they can't do an I Am Legend that's any good.
That's, yeah. You know what? Like, I mean, that was, I remember because I the book again, a favorite of mine,
It's an amazing
and
book.
the movie, it was entertaining, but it wasn't quite what the book is at all. It's quite different. I mean, it's the same general basic thing. Like, it's a man.
But it seems more it's less vampires, more zombies. So that's kind of
Yeah, they're
yeah.
zombie like mutant things, something like
But the
that.
whole point of the book, the whole kind of feel of the book, it's that the vampires are, but spoilers, are more the humans than the human is.
Yes. Yeah.
It's the ending of that book. Just yeah.
Yeah,
And,
it's got such a, like, if you described the ending to somebody, it wouldn't make sense. You have to go through
the
the
whole
whole
process,
thing. Yeah,
yeah, and the heartbreak
for
of that.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh,
Cool.
don't make me cry this early in the day.
So, your most recent book, Grey Noise, which
Yes.
I have started reading, is very good.
Oh, thank you.
Um, it's been gone down very well. Tell us a bit about the novella, kind of the plot behind the novella, and yeah.
Right. So as I mentioned, that was originally supposed to be one of the stories in Acts of Violence,
Mm.
and it just happened to turn out that as I was writing it, it just became more. There it is.
Okay.
Yeah. It just kind of grew, like, it just sort of, beyond, 5,000-6,000 words, and by the time I hit around, 9 or 10, something like that, I thought, I think this might be um, something more. So I sort of put it aside and brought another story I had sitting around, and to fill out that uh, the 12, or the number that I was looking for the short stories, and just kept writing it. And it basically, the concept is that somebody starts a retro video store
Mm.
today, like in modern day or present day, it's set, and finds a TV, an old, retro vacuum tube television on the side of the road, and thinks it would be perfect to go with the theme of the store. And he's both right and wrong, because then, yeah, there's there's a static that emits it from it that won't go away no matter what he does, and the things that causes and results as a result of it is basically the idea. It was a very strange time actually when I wrote that, because I think I was kind of looking back on it, I think I was depressed. I think I say in quote marks, but just because there's I mean it yeah I try to explore things as balanced as possible, but it's definitely got a more dour feel. That one, it's very nihilistic, very sort of takes a hard look at a lot of things, just life in
Which
general.
you
But
do warn about us right at the start of the book as well.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and I wanted I wanted people to know that too, just sort of like it's funny because I said that, like, if you think this is if this is going to be a fun read or whatever, it won't. But then other people have read it and said, I loved it, this was great, I had a great time reading this. I'm thinking,
Fun read, yeah.
that's like, are we okay? Are we all right? But that's great. No, it makes it, misery loves company, right? So
True,
yeah,
true. Very true.
yeah. It's been compared sort of, not exactly, but like Todd Kiesling's Scanlines, which I haven't read yet, but that's like
Not read that one yet.
very, very close to the top of my TBR, because it sounds like it's right up my alley.
Brilliant. So that is Grey Noise. That is available paperback for $5.44 in the UK. There you go. And is on
Probably
London as well.
eight or six or seven Canadian or whatever it's worth there.
So go grab that now. It is really, really good. I started reading it today. Not a big novella either, so no, you should be. It's a quick, I'd say easy read, but obviously maybe not so much.
A short read, yeah.
Right. So let's do it, and let's go to your third and final pick. What is your third and final very good read?
I would have to go with The Hellbound Heart by Clive Barker, because I read a book of his. It was called Mr. Begone. It's a more recent one, but I read that further back ago, like probably around when it came out, actually. I think probably like early 2000s or so.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it, but it didn't, I guess, really compel me at the time to read a lot more of his work just then, which I am kicking myself for now, because as soon as I read The Hellbound Heart, being a big Hellraiser fan for many years, I wanted to read it at some point, and it just became an instant favorite because it's just so well written. It's so well, like, it's just very, anyone who knows like how he writes is just, it's very descriptive, or it's not even descriptive, but it's just very, like, he puts things in interesting ways, and conjures imagery and just things that they imply more than they say. And then even when he does show quite a bit, it's terrible, like and yeah, it just instantly became a favorite. That's another I'd like to read again soon. I keep it nearby, actually. It's like right here, just so I still
It's a nice copy of that.
Flip through it. Yeah, it's got the pinhead skull on it. That'd make a good tattoo right there. But yeah, just to flip through it every once in a while and remind myself of why I liked it so much.
What did you think the Scarlet Gospels? Get my words right.
I haven't read it yet. I actually that was probably the last book that I bought just not long ago. So I have it. I have it ready to go, but I haven't read it just yet.
Okay. Haven't read it yet. I'm behind on Clive Barker. I need to get into his work.
So am I. I think there's another that people have recommended me of his, Cold Heart Canyon. Yeah. No, I'd like to. I'm interested to see how that goes, since I like the first one so much. I've heard like some differing takes on it, but I like to find out for myself. So
I heard the latest remake of the Hellraisers was very good.
I rather enjoyed it. Yeah,
Hellraisers. very bad Hellraisers in the past. But
I going into it, I was kind of just, like, all right, let's see what they got here, and it was quite good. Some, like, there was I guess some of the human, what I like to call the human story, right? Like, so every horror movie, a lot of the time when it involves something like either a creature feature or supernatural or whatever, they have the human side of things that has to sort of lead to what the horror ultimately is. I didn't find that quite as compelling, but once the Cenobites get involved, it's it's good stuff. The way they've designed them in this is quite interesting, and it actually looks a lot of the time sort of like what was described in the Hellbound Heart. Like, their clothes are sort of made out of vivisected skin and things like that. It's it's quite good. Check it out. Yeah.
cool. So that is Hellbound Heart, which is our third pick. 3 really good picks this week. Can't go wrong with a bit of Stephen King. You can't go wrong with a bit of Clive Barker. Although my co-host over on the movie podcast might disagree with that. He does not like Clive Barker. But I don't know why. No, really.
He's not here.
I love Hellraiser. It was my pick that time.
Yeah, like, not everything's for everybody, and that's all right. Like, I mean, some people rave about Ernest Hemingway. I can't. It's not for me. Yeah, it's a little. What he does, is. It worked for him, and it works for a lot of people. It doesn't work for me. That's all you can say.
So, what are you working on next? Is anything coming up this year or coming up soon?
Well, right now I'm working on / getting close to finishing a follow-up to The Miracle Sin, actually, called The Trouble with Faith and Other Stories. It's a little bit of a different format. It's not a novel. It's actually interconnected stories exploring the next year to 2 years of the character's life and experience with the new family, we'll call them, and just how that goes. I'm like, I want to say
hard to explain it without reading the first book as well.
Yeah. Hard. Yeah. It's tricky, but I want to say about 90% done. It's just taking a little bit longer as I'm working on other things as well, because I am also working on since you mentioned a love of vampires earlier, I'm working on a vampire Christmas book right now, which I'd like to have out for Christmas this year. Whether that'll happen or not, I'm going to really, really try. Like, it's I think it's doable. I mean, it's only February now, so we'll see. that's the closest thing to a promise you'll get from me.
We'll try.
Yeah. And then just a few smaller things, like there's stories that I'm working on for one submission or another, and whether they get accepted or not, who knows. And if not, I'll do something else with them. I've thought about that too. Like, quite a few people put out just like what do you call it, like a Kindle single or something like that. I'd like to do more of that, actually, because I have a few things sort of just in the background that nothing quite happened with, or I don't have a plan for at the moment. I think that's a good option too. So some things will surely come this year. What exactly that is, who knows? You'll know when I know.
Keep an eye on it on the socials.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming to the podcast this week.
Oh, thank you.
Where can people find you if you'd like?
Wherever it's damp and dark. I'm on Instagram mostly. I do have TikTok. I've spent sort of peaks and valleys with that place, but I do have TikTok. And my website, there you go. Hey, you know better. You know better than I do.
I had that one lined up. See,
I
all
know
in the
I know
video.
these things,
I'm
but
trying with my answers on this.
yeah, the brain mouth connection doesn't always function like Bluetooth.
There you go. Check out the website on the link below.
That's it. And I've
Awesome.
got other things too, like through my my imprint Hawke House books. I've got some anthologies. I've got a Halloween anthology that people seem to like, and once again, vampires, vampire anthology called Dead of Night that I really like. I handpicked all of those, and I can honestly say those are some of the best, most varied, most interesting. Some of them are very different takes on vampires too, and I just thought they were great. So yeah, if anyone's into vampires, I really, really recommend those. And yeah, they deserve to be read and appreciated by those who appreciate vampires.
Again, if you go to the website at the bottom,
There you go.
you'll find a link to the website.
I should just get a shirt with that on it.
Banner up the head there.
Yeah.
Awesome. A huge thank you to Marcus for coming on the podcast this week to
Thank you
join
for
us
having
here
me.
for our 100th episode.
Hey,
There you go. It's a new year, a
time for a brew.
new episodes. But as always, a huge shout out to our sponsor. I have to do it on camera, and I'm going to mess this up. I can just tell already. As always, a huge shout out to our sponsor, Abominable Book Club. They are the UK's best and biggest horror and thriller book box service, bringing the wonders of haunted bookshop straight to your door each month. You can either have the bare bones box, which is just 2 brand new books. We do love books, and a second-hand book as well. Or you can get the Full Guts box, which is a brand new book, a possibly haunted second-hand book, and also an indie book title or a magazine sometimes on there. You also get snacks. You get a few little drink sachets in there. You get some badges, bags, random bits and pieces. All amazing. And you get 10% off your first box by using the code BloodyGoodReads at checkout. Wow, that was good. Yay, I did it.
You didn't screw it up,
yeah. I'm really bad at that normally.
The key is you just have to not care, right? Like you just have to sort of detach from your mind.
When you can't see anything.
No, I know of Abominable. They look like they have great stuff.
They are amazing.
Yeah.
Just got the brand new book box through yesterday.
Nice.
Now I don't remember which books I got in there. I got What Kind of Mother came through, which we do have Clayton on the podcast later on in the month as well. So you get some really good brand new titles in there, and always good for some indie titles too.
Yeah.
So got the brand new book from the author of Tenderest of Flesh as well.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it's a good stuff.
Excellent.
So as always, thank you for listening. We have got the secondary podcast, which is Bloody Good Screen Movie Club, where we have 2 episodes coming up. It being me and Hunter Shea talking bad CGI Gator.
Is there a bad CGI Gator? Even a bad CGI Gator is a good CGI Gator.
It's such a good film. But only Hunter Shea will watch these films with me. So
right up his alley, I'm sure.
Oh, definitely. But we also got the main show, which is myself, Niall, Marcus, and Taz, and we'll be watching this time. Had to change slightly because the screen link didn't work for Slaughterhouse, but we'll be watching Thanksgiving, which, spoiler alert, it's a good film.
I love that somebody came up with a sloth horror film that just because those things creep me out.
If the link works, I'm definitely doing it. If the link doesn't work, we're doing Thanksgiving.
Excellent.
Either way, two I'm assuming very good films. Thanksgiving was really good, by the way. And also When Evil Lurks as well, which is one of the Shudder exclusives. So, yep, come and join us later on in the month for that one. You can catch us over on Twitter at Bloody Good Reads, Instagram at Bloody Good Reads,
Facebook, Bloody Good Reads.
Facebook, yeah, that's how we found each other on there.
Exactly.
On
Still good for something.
Yeah, Facebook has to do something.
Yeah.
Threads, I believe I'm on Blue Sky. I never use it, but find us on there somewhere. And as always, a huge thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time.
Thank you.